Alright, we got our new manifold gaskets. These can only go on a certain way. If you see, we have our hole here, and the other hole is down here, and the studs go right here. You can also tell because the notch, there's a notch facing out, facing in, there is no notch. So we'll get these in here like so. Kind of want to guide it in like this, and you're going to line up our holes here and just push the gasket in like that. Same thing on the other side. I want to line it up and make sure it's in. So same thing on the other side. New gasket is already in, and I'll just make sure that it's in over here as well, which it is. Alright, so now we'll go get our turbos, and you're going to want to start with the front turbo. That has to go in first, and then we can connect our rear turbo. So I recommend if you have this oil line sitting here, you're going to want to move this out of the way, and this one as well, we'll worry about that after. So let's go grab our turbo. Again, grab our front turbo here. I have blankets installed, so we are not going to be reusing our factory heat shields, which is great. These are much better than the factory heat shields. If you look at this, just some cheap metal. Not very good to keep heat out of the engine. And these turbos cook. They get really hot. So these blankets are going to protect. They cover the entire turbo. They're extremely thick and durable, and should contain a lot of the heat from the engine bay. Protect a lot of this BMW plastic that we love. So guide it in. Okay, again, when we put this in, these notches are going to go in these grooves here. So you're going to want to angle it in. Always support the turbo from the metal and not any plastic like the actuators. And you want to line that up there. Okay, we'll move our line here, bottom. Now, again, slide it in the grooves. Alright, so she's in. Give it a little wiggle, make sure. Okay, so turbo's in. See that it's aligned with the studs here. Our next step is going to be taking our piece here. Now you can see this faces up, and we're going to want to put it in the same way. You can see the lines on this from our factory nuts. So we're going to put this in the same way. The notch is facing upwards. This goes in like this. Okay. See that? And that's going to kind of secure the turbo in. And now we put our nuts in. So since we're waiting on the nuts, we're waiting on new ones. What I'm going to do is just take two of the old ones and just kind of put them in by hand so that the turbo ain't going to fall out, and we can get it secured. You can also kind of wiggle it so you can get it in by hand as much as you can. Okay, got the back one on, and I'll just get the front one as well, just so that we're in there and we're secure. And now we can snug that one up by hand too. Okay, and now what I'll do is take a ratchet and just snug these up just a little bit so the turbo ain't flopping around. And then when the new ones come in, we can throw the new ones in and we can torque them to sequence and spec. Alright, that's good enough. Alright, cool. So you can see turbo's in nice and tight. So we got the first turbo secure, and we can kind of maneuver our blanket as well and pull it up so it's covering all the way. Okay, make sure it's not covering our wastegate in the back here, the back end. So that looks good, and should be perfect right there. So another thing we'll do here, we can get this line in and always replace this seal. I already replaced it with the OEM. I'll provide the part number in the description here. So you want to replace that seal, and we're going to just pop that in and just kind of wiggle that in just like so, and then we can put in one of our T30 screws here and just put that in by finger tight for now. And these are kind of hard to get into, especially with the turbo blankets. But if it's aligned properly, I don't have any problems. Sometimes it means wiggling this, moving this line a little over, like so. Yep. Let's check it out and check it out. Okay, so it's got to go over a little bit right there. Alright, perfect. So that's kind of in. And now what I'll do is I will take a T30 and an extension, and just by hand kind of get it in there. Alright, so she's threaded in. Perfect. Now again, you can wiggle that side to side, and that's already in, so we can bring that down. Not much room to work in here, so if you have low profile tools, that definitely does help. But you can get it in. This should be easy to get in. It's brand new, so you should be able to bring it in with your fingers pretty much all the way down to the bottom. And this gets torqued to 8 Newton meters. Okay, we got our torque wrench set to 8. Alright, torque to spec. Alright, so we got our bottom oil line in, and that also gets torqued to 8 Newton meters. So alright, she's tight. Alright, we got our back turbo. Let's get her in. So this one's going to be a little trickier because we got this line here, so we're going to have to try to tuck this line away. Alright. She's in there. Now we're gonna get our... Alright, so our turbo is lined in there. We got our line here secure. So we're gonna have to get this line in order to slide our piece on. So you kind of support it like this and get this piece. And then we want to slide this piece on. Alrighty. And then what I'll do is just get 2 of the old ones. We'll thread these in. Alright, I got one in there. We'll get another one in here. Alrighty. We got our line in, so we can get a screw in there. One of our T30s. And that can get tightened down. Alright, so we're going to tighten up our oil line here. T30 screw. And this gets torqued to 8 Newton meters. So we'll finish tightening this up by hand. Again, I replaced that seal. You should replace it as well. Alright, and she's torqued. Now you can see we got our turbos in. It looks great with the blankets, to be honest. One thing I'm going to also be doing is underneath. I have to go underneath and connect our oil line on the bottom. And I'm going to be removing these and reinstalling new ones of these. And we'll get our coolant lines connected as well when the seals come in for that. Alright, we got our paint guy to paint match our intake manifold. So this is going to be a cool addition. I don't think you've ever seen anybody with a Xdrive gray intake manifold. So this will be going in, and we'll be taking some videos and footage of that as well.